Yeah, Shine Lawyers are one legal firm who are acting on behalf of silicosis victims. And joining us now is environmental and corporate activist who's become world famous through her work in this area. Please welcome Erin Brockovich to the House of Wellness. Hello, Erin.
Hello, good morning. It's nice to be here.
Great to have you. Erin, you made your name battling corporations, namely the Pacific Gas and Electric Company, over contaminated water in the 90s. It was a worldwide phenomenon, the movie named after you. Why now the interest in silicosis?
You know, when I began my work in Hinckley, it was, certainly there's a corporation there, but it was about the people. It was about their public health and welfare. And, you know, just watching the clip that you've had is precisely why I'm involved in this. There's so many unfortunate lack of information, cover-ups, misguided information that render thousands and tens of thousands of innocent people in a very hopeless situation. And it's about protecting them and public health and welfare. And this story with silicosis, we've kind of seen it coming. There's been, you know, something where we should have made movements earlier on, but I don't know why we wait. That is distressing to me and can be preventable. So here we now have this news everywhere about the silicosis and young men dying and dropping dead. That is just inexcusable. And so Shine Lawyers has moved forward with helping these people clearly through the course of the law. There's 160. There will be more here in Australia. We've made some movements here in Victoria. You have banned the process, and it can't just stop here. You have to ban the process throughout the entire country for the benefit of public health.
So that is only a ban in Victoria, not for the rest of the country, which
currently,
is
yes,
distressing in itself. How big of a problem is it?
Well, it's a big problem. Again, it's a big problem in the United States. Think about the stonecutters across the world who are doing renovations and building. And look at all the building that's going on right here in Melbourne right now. I was shocked when I came in. I'm like, wow. Yeah. But all of that's going to find its way. So it is a big industry. And it's one that we need to get ahead of our problems. So you have an opportunity here. You have an opportunity to change it now, to save some lives. And we need to have a ban. And if it is around, it needs to be wet cutting. It can't be dry cutting. And we can stop a process before it gets seriously out of control and more people are harmed.
So, Erin, why were importers allowed to bring this practice in the first place?
You know, that's a really good question. I mean, because oftentimes imports coming in from other places, we don't have appropriate regulations. We don't have appropriate oversight with our agencies requiring what you're bringing in, what's in your product, and you need to show us the safety of that product before we allow it into our country.
Is it that the regulations aren't keeping up with new technologies and materials, or we just don't have the right regulations in place?
I just don't. Well, it's daunting, by the way. I mean, you know, we see this at home with the FDA and everything that's coming in on the state sides. It's quite daunting, but there needs to be guidelines and there needs to be regulations. And what is, and I think it is our responsibility when it comes in, what's in this product. So a lot of times it comes in from somewhere else where there's chemicals in it that, unbeknownst to us, have been passed through. And that is shame on anybody that lets that come through. You need to know what's coming in, and we're starting to see that happen more and more.
But, Erin, in the meantime, these young men are getting affected. So what sort of compensation should they receive?
Oh, well, boy, you know what? There's not enough compensation in the world for anybody when you take their health or they lose their life or their children are left fatherless. But we need to give them the support now, certainly the medical support, the income that they will need to sustain their families. We have to put all that in place for them. And the insurance and the medical needs that they will need moving forward. They shouldn't have to suffer any further. But there's no amount of money. You know, I've revisited lately many people in Hinckley, California, and justice was served, but yet justice was never served because they lost their life, they lost their health, and they lost their loved ones.
Erin, we are so lucky to have people like you fighting the fight for the little people. Your name's become synonymous with giving a voice to people who felt like they've had no hope. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for, again, the information and pushing out that awareness is key to protecting others.